Vidyarthi Parishad's National General Secretary, Mr. Chauhan, Mr. Raghuvanshi, and students of law sitting in this audience who have participated in a two-day seminar. Law is, in my opinion, the cement of a civilized society, what keeps a society together. Without a law and law-abiding citizens, a society can become savage, and that society will not last long. The secret of India lasting for so many centuries, the UNESCO recently had listed all civilizations that were born in this world, and they collected 45 such civilizations. But to their surprise, they found that the only one civilization which survived, all the others, 44, vanished. The surviving civilization was the civilization of India. And the question was why? Whether it was Mesopotamia, whether it was Babylon, whether it was Pharaoh's Egypt, whether it was the Zoroastrians, Iran, all disappeared. But what we call today as Hindu ancestry, Hindu culture, that is the one thing that has survived all through these centuries. And even today, it is predominantly of Hindus, this country. And but we have given ourselves a constitution. And in that constitution, we have laid down how we are going to view the progress of society and what is permitted and what is not permitted. Today, the courts in India are largely are using English. Some people get upset that English is a language of the Britishers who were colonialists, imperialists, why we continue. Well, we need one common language, which not everybody must speak, but it should be spoken as a linked language between states. So bureaucrats must know that language, courts must know that language, a common language. You can have people speaking in Tamil Nadu in Tamil, and in Kannada, in Karnataka, Kannada, in Punjab, Punjabi, all that. But we need a single language, and that language in the ancient times was Sanskrit. But after the British came and Macaulay made it a rule to break up. He said Sanskrit books should be burnt and we should ensure that English takes its place. Today, English is not the language of the English, but it's an international language thanks to the Americans who also speak English. The American civilization, when they were adopting the Constitution, there was competition between whether America should accept German or English, and ultimately by one vote they chose English. But because of the Americans and becoming a superpower, today the world over, English is growing. So in our country, we need to learn the mother tongue, we need to learn English, and we need to lead one language which can be the link language between one state and another. And that was chosen to be Hindi. But in the Constitution, that Hindi, also the Constitution prescribed that the script will be Devanagari. No other script except Devanagari. Of course, Devanagari is used by Sanskrit, Devanagari is used by Hindi, Devanagari is used by Marathi. Devanagari is used by Nepali. And Devanagari script is very similar to most scripts of India. For instance, Tamil, if you write ka, you will write like that. If you want to write ki, you put a matra. That's what Devanagari script also is. You have ka and you put a matra. Similarly, you want ka from ka to ku, then you put a matra below. In Tamil also, Tamil script also, and in Sanskrit script also. So what I am saying is that our future of our law development to reach the masses, over the years we will have to develop a link language, and that link language in the short run, which I mean another 50 years, maybe even 100 years, has to be Hindi in Devanagari script as required by Article 340 of the Constitution of India, and that Hindi must go on adopting more and more Sanskrit words. And that is also in the Constitution, Article 351, that Hindi shall draw from the vocabulary of Sanskrit. Because in every Indian language today we have Sanskrit words, some larger than the others. Bengali has maybe 80% Sanskrit words. Malayalam, surprisingly, has more than Bengali. Karnataka, 65%. Even Tamil has 40% words which are common to Sanskrit. Unfortunately, the British brainwashed us to think that Tamil is some kind of a foreign land, foreign people, Dravidians, and their language is different. It's a rubbish. I've had many, and of course, a political movement in the name of Dravida Munnetra Kazhagam came up, and Karunanidhi, who led it, was a virulent anti-Hindi. But that's because of propaganda that today people don't understand. There is hardly any difference between Sanskritized Hindi and Tamil. The words are in common. The way we express them is common. When I had a debate with Karunanidhi, I told him, why are you saying that Tamil has no connection with Karunanidhi? Your own name, Karunanidhi, is Sanskrit. Karunanidhi. And their party symbol is called rising sun in English. And in Tamil, Udayan Suryan. Uday Surya. In Tamil you say Udayan Surya. And for election symbol they say Chinnam. In Sanskrit you say Chin. So if you go on hunting, you take a dictionary. So what I'm saying is that the British brainwashed us into thinking that we are two nations. One is called Dravidians, the other called Aryan. And Dravidians used to rule over India, and then the Aryans came from Europe through Khyber Pass and beat these Dravidians and drove them south. Now that has been exploded because of the DNA analysis of India. The only true way to judge a race is not by skin color or your height, but by only one measure, that is called DNA. And the recent studies which have been published all over the world in genetic journals is that all Indians have the same DNA. We are one people, whether we are in the north, south. Why I am saying all this? Because law must unite our society. We must speak the language of law, because law is the way basis for society. It's the cement, as I said. And we must be able to understand each other. The other day I was in Chennai, some press people said, do you approve Hindi names in Hindi written in on milestones and railway station? I said, no, nobody writes in Hindi. He said, no, we'll show you. We got a photograph of one railway station called Arakonam, and which it is written in Hindi. I said, that's not Hindi, that is Devanagari. Hindi is written in Devanagari. So is Sanskrit. If I were to write in Sanskrit also, I write the same way. So that is the script. You have to make people understand. Now you see, our constitution is one of the best constitutions of the world. It's bulky also. And it has all kinds of provisions. You have to read it to learn the law and what India is about. People didn't know, and my own party people didn't know, that to remove Article 370 you don't need any vote from Parliament. For a long time people used to say BJP doesn't have majority in, two-thirds majority in Rajya Sabha, so it can never pass to remove 370. You'll be surprised, it is I'm not a lawyer. I prefer to be an economist. When I became professor at Harvard, I got a spare time, so I went to Harvard Law School, learned law. But I liked law so much that I got scared that I might give up economics and go to law. So I told my wife, you be a lawyer, I'll be an economist. But this knowledge of law has made me a strong man. So today I'm saying to you, if you want to be strong, know the law, even if you're not going to be a lawyer, even if you're going to be a scientist. Both men and women. I think women should particularly learn law because they are today under attack because of the difference in physical strength between man and woman. But knowing law, it can make a lot of difference. I know a lot of middle class people get afraid if a policeman comes and rings the doorbell. If you know the law, you will not be afraid. It removes fear. You become a new citizen. For citizenship, for good citizenship, you must know the law. That means you must know your rights. You must know what you can and cannot do. The Jawaharlal Nehru University students used to say, "Tugde, which are my fundamental right." That means they have not read the Constitution. What does the Constitution say? Fundamental right of expression comes under Article 19. And it also, there is a subsection of 19 called 19(2), which says all fundamental rights are subject to reasonable restrictions. And one of the restrictions is that you cannot come against the national unity of your country. The integrity and the sovereignty of India shall be protected. So all your fundamental rights are not absolute. They are subject to restrictions. These restrictions are what we call as reasonable restrictions. We say it is a fundamental right to pray as you like. But it also says subject to reasonable restrictions of A, morality, B, health, and 3, public order. That you can't tomorrow say I preach a religion which says that I must chop the head off my eldest son so that Kali is pleased. I'm sorry, that is not your fundamental right because that is against our morality. So, if you look at our constitution carefully, you'll see that the fundamental rights are all subject to reasonable restrictions. And that is why when people in JNU talk about fundamental rights, they know that means you're not getting an education in JNU. For years you're not. It's now only slowly with BJP government, we have now started bringing some discipline. We have put we shall never have a law which says that you can break India into pieces. You cannot have a law even to cut a piece of India out. Article 1 of the Constitution says India is an integral unity. Not a piece of India can. You can add it. Tomorrow if you want to add Pakistan, so therefore, I'm saying that reading the constitution becomes very important. I gave you an example. 370 doesn't require a two-thirds majority of both houses of parliament voting and amending it as per Article 360, which requires, which describes how constitutional amendments have to be moved. But an exception was made for Article 370. It has got nothing to do with 371. 371 is for saying you can't buy forest property because the Adivasis will be affected. There's nothing to do with citizenship. There's no two constitutions. In 371, there's no second constitution. In Kashmir, we had one constitution. In New Delhi, you had another constitution. That is no more so. So, therefore, what I am saying to you, first of all, that becoming a lawyer is very important. Because you must know the law, even if you are in any profession. It strengthens you. And second, you must know the scope of that law. You cannot, tomorrow somebody goes and files a case against you on defamation. There are restrictions on that also. One day I said in a press conference in Madras that giving a government to Jayalalitha is like giving Kapoor, you know that Kapoor incense, to a donkey, or a garland of flowers to a monkey. So she filed a defamation case against me. It went to the Supreme Court. Everybody started laughing. So the Chief Justice asked the Jayalalitha's lawyer, which are you objecting to, being a donkey or a monkey? It's a saying that a monkey, if you give a garland, it will put it in pieces. A donkey doesn't know the scent and this aroma of Kapoor. So, but use the power of the state to file a defamation case. I have never lost a defamation case in my life. A man who used to be a terror called Jeth Malani, he filed 4 defamation cases against me and lost all 4. Because I read the law. And this fine print of what it is subject to is very, very important. Therefore, I say you please read. Freedom of expression means how far? Can I say India should be broken into pieces? No. Article 20, bracket 2 says, no, you can't say. You have no freedom of expression, the fundamental freedom of expression. The same knowledge of the fundamental rights has now given me a weapon for ensuring that Ram temple will be built starting How? Because so far, before I came on the scene, which was in 2017, at the request of Sri Ashok Singhal, the two parties which were fighting was one was the Hindu, what was called as the Hindu party. It said there was a temple there before, and Babur came and knocked it down and built a masjid. So therefore, it's my right of property to get back that property. It was illegally demolished. So it's my right. The case of the Sunni Waqf board, they said Babur was king, so if he decides to take the property under the law, then prevailing law, he has the right. So they have been fighting on that. And it's before the Supreme Court, and they are producing documents, translating from Persian, so many languages, all going on. And so the judges were not taking up this case. So I entered in with a writ petition, saying that these people are fighting for property. I am not here for property. I am here because my faith tells me that Ram was born at a particular spot in Ayodhya. And there stood a masjid. And therefore, my fundamental right to pray is superior to the ordinary right to property which the Sunni Waqf Board is asking. So my petition has been listed for hearing, but the judges said we'll hear you last. I said, why last? He said, we hear you first, then we won't need to hear the other people. So there is nothing there. If it is my fundamental right to pray, where faith tells me Ram was born at that spot, then on the grounds that it is my fundamental right, I get the area has to be assigned to us Hindus to be able to pray. How do you know where Ram was born? That's faith. And what is faith? It is there in the Constitution, in the preamble. It says liberty and faith are basic part of the basic structure. They are the foundations of the Constitution. Is it like that in other countries? Yes. For instance, how do we know that how do we know that Christ was born in Bethlehem? There's a place in Bethlehem in Israel where they say Christ was born there. Now, what is the proof? The proof is that 400 years after Christ was crucified, 400 years after, the king of Rome, his mother-in-law had a dream that she went to Bethlehem and God showed her the spot where Christ was born. And the entire Christian community has accepted that. And if anyone questions it, this is faith. And if you go to the criminal law and Article 295, it says that if you demolish something where people had faith in, then the courts have to prosecute that person, not go into the question whether it's genuine faith, fake faith, and so on. In Tamil Nadu, the British promoted a person called E.V. Ramaswamy Naikar, popularly called Periyar. Periyar means big man. Peri means big. Yar is a way of saying sir. So, he one day, and he was an atheist. So one day he went to a shop and he saw Ganesha there, because Ganesh Utsava was coming. So he bought it. And then he held a public meeting in the evening and he took the Ganesha in his hand and threw it down and it broke into pieces. So he said, this is your Ganesha. I have bought it and thrown it in the ground and it broke into pieces. Nobody can do anything to me. So somebody filed a case which went to the Supreme Court. And this is something worth reading. 1958 Supreme Court. Veerbhadra versus E.V. Ramaswamy Naikar. Where the Supreme Court says, and what was the argument E.V. Ramaswamy Naikar's lawyers gave? He paid for it. He bought it. It became his property. And therefore, he can break it if he wants. Supreme Court ruled, when so many people have faith that this image of Ganpati is sacred for them and he has faith in it, no one has a right to break it and say that it is right to do so. You don't have any fundamental right to break the idol of any religion. So that is a judgment which now has established faith. Islamic people also believe that Muhammad, in a place called Dome of the Rock, which is in Israel, and the and the masjid that has been built there by demolishing the Solomon temple of the Israelis, Jews. There they say that 5 mullahs saw Muhammad go to heaven from that rock on a horse. Is it possible to fly to the heaven? You can't question. That's faith. So, therefore, when you are dealing with law, it is not a mechanical thing. You develop it. I did it in the case, you see, when in 2007, Ashok Singhal, the head of the VHP then, he came to my house and he said, I'm very sorry, I'm very unhappy. The Congress government is going to demolish Ram Setu. And you have to stop it. I said, how can I stop it now? Already all the Shankaracharyas, this thing, that thing, all went and filed a petition, Supreme Court dismissed it. So how do I do it? No, he says, you can find some way and so on. Well, what could I do? I prayed to Lord Rama, you don't want Ram Setu destructed, so please show me a way by which I can save it. And suddenly it appeared to me, one day when I woke up from sleep, that I will not go to the Supreme Court to say that this is my holy place, because that has already been dismissed. I will say that this proposal of the government to build a canal through the waters between the coast of India and the coast of Sri Lanka, which today they cannot build because there is a Rama Setu in the way. So they have decided to cut through Rama Setu. This is going to cost us 3,000 crores. And the advantage is that today we have to go around Sri Lanka. If you want to go from Kanyakumari to Chennai, you have to go around Sri Lanka. So that will be saved, you can now go straight through. So I won't come and say that this is my religious belief and all that, because it's already been said. And the court said, no, you don't accept it. Whether right or wrong, they said it. So I said, you see, the whole object is to make sure that ships can travel faster from Kanyakumari to Chennai, instead of going around, which is 4 times as expensive. So it costs 3,200 crores. But if you build a railway line from Kanyakumari to Chennai along the coast, it costs only 600 crores. So the government did not examine alternatives and arbitrarily chose this, and therefore any project which the government arbitrarily proposes is subject to, can be challenged as being unreasonable and struck down. And the court agreed with me. But one thing before I concluded, and the court case was going to be, order was going to be issued, one of the judges asked me, can you tell me, Dr. Swamy, you're a rational person, Ram Setu is in the middle of the ocean. Who is going to go in the middle of the ocean to pray there? Why the people are making an issue of it? I said every morning I pray to the sun, but I don't go to the sun and come back. That is the power of the faith. So you have to learn this. This is not taught to you in any book. You have to read judgments and pick up these things. So I am saying that the power of law is tremendous, and every day there is an opportunity for you to expand its scope. And learning law would mean that you give it prestige. When I hear that a judge has taken money, I feel bad because it debases law. I would say 90% of our judges are honest, and we get very good judgments, and I have great respect for them. But at the same time, I must say that we should also, at the stage that you are in as students, take a vow that I will never do anything unethical. Because Mahatma Gandhi he was a lawyer, a great lawyer. But he laid down some conditions. Now, if some guilty man comes, a man has committed murder, he comes to you saying, please represent me in court. You cannot normally say no, because in the profession you have to say yes. But you don't have to, knowing that that person is guilty, you don't have to, you agree to plead that he is not guilty. To declare a person whom you know is guilty, to try and prove that he's not guilty. So those moral values have to be now brought in, because today law profession is growing very fast, and the amount of money that lawyers can earn is so high that people don't want to be judges anymore. That's bad. Judges, we need the best of the lawyers, we need them as judges. So therefore I'm saying that this law is now no more just a simple tool for getting a job. It's now become a science. It will develop our society. It will make it grow. And anybody can learn law, but you need practitioners. Although Section 32 of the Advocates Act says that if a client says that I will only have Mr. Swamy and nobody, and the court thinks that I know some law, then even if I don't have I'm a member of the bar, I am entitled to argue in court against it. So there's no 100% requirement that you have to have a law degree and you have to be enrolled in the bar to practice in the court. But it's now become such a big field that you have to specialize. And that you have specialized, you need a degree. So getting a degree is an extremely important thing, and that new invention that we have of 5-year courses is a very, very good thing that has happened. And the more lawyers we have, the better. Of course, lawyers are butts of jokes. I've heard many jokes against lawyers. My wife doesn't like it, but I still I tell people. There was once a football match going on in hell. And one of the inhabitants of the hell, he kicked the ball very hard. It went and hit the wall, dividing hell and heaven. And the wall broke. So the heaven people came across and shouted to the hell people, build the wall. You broke it, you build it. So the hell people said, why we should build it? You are afraid of our coming there. We are not afraid of your coming there. So he said, all right, we will go to court. So they went to Brahma's court. And the hell people came with their best lawyers, but the heaven people couldn't find a single lawyer. From amongst this, they all had gone to hell. The other joke I heard was that this was a true joke. It was told to me by a doctor. He had gone with a lawyer friend to a party, and several ladies came to seeing the doctor. My arm is hurting. What shall I take? I get migraine. Which tablet I should take? All asking questions. We're taking advantage of the party. So the doctor turned to his lawyer friend and said, "See, this is a big harassment. How do I avoid it? It's almost not worth coming to a party." He said, what you should do is, since you know them, next day you send them a bill for medical advice. He said, that's a good idea. So next morning he went quickly to his office and started making out bills. But as he sat down in the table, he saw a bill from the lawyer for the advice he's given. Think of the lawyer's profession, you are on your own. And still the society respects you. Policemen are more afraid of lawyers than they are afraid of anybody else. You are no more an ordinary citizen. And therefore, this profession you have chosen is a wonderful profession. But blaze a trail. People should say, this man is honest. He doesn't fleece us. He doesn't take adjournments and take fees on that also. So, show your moral character, because this is a profession which requires a great deal of morality. And by that, the society will become strong. And that is why I'm very pleased here to come before you and tell you that this profession you have chosen is a very good profession. And this is a pillar of our society. And the stronger you are, the stronger will be our society. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for enlightening the ignited young minds of our nation. It will surely help them in their career ahead. It has been a great pleasure to have you here, and we cannot thank you enough for taking out your precious time. Now there will be a question answer session. There's a short notice for the audience. Please keep your questions short and one person, one question. Yeah.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
Good evening, sir. My question is to you.
What's the question?
Sir, my question is
sure.
to you. That it is possible that in a preamble the words secular and socialist to be removed, these two words.
Yeah, they were inserted during the emergency. And when the Janata Party came to power, many of us, like myself, we went to Moraji and said this should be removed. This secular, we didn't mind too much because so many definitions there. But socialist, I said, that is a political ideology. It should be there. Only in communist countries they have it. But the Janata was a coalition of socialist party also, and so we could not get it through. But don't worry, just like 370 went, this socialist will also go.
Hello, sir. So my question is that you just said that if someone has faith in a place, you cannot break that place. In an instant, you just said that in the Ram Jhula some case that it was rejected by the Supreme Court.
Which one? Earlier.
Earlier.
Ram Setu.
So, yes, Ram Setu. So how can you like?
I went with the new prayer.
So
They went with the prayer that this is our religious spot, you cannot demolish it. And of course the Congress government then argued that this is all mythological and so on, so on. So when I went, I only said, yes, you build that canal, but you must find out which is the cheapest alternative. And I'm giving you another alternative for the same objective. Then you put a railway line and have containers, the ships come there and put their container on the railway station, and then the railway will take the goods. So therefore the court could accept it. Otherwise you can't do the same prayer.
Okay. Thank you so much. Due to some time constraints, we cannot further.
Just one question.
Last question, yeah.
Sir, as we know, recently on 5th August, Article 370 was abrogated. But still, in Jammu and Kashmir, an advertisement for job opportunity was published with the condition that the person should be a permanent resident of Jammu and Kashmir. So how much that is legally correct that even after the abrogation of the permanent citizenship?
Give me a photograph.
Yeah, sir, sure.
Okay, good. I'll take it out. So you can send it to me in the email. I'll give you an email.
So this
All right, let me see. Are you sure the militants didn't put it up? It is by the Jammu Kashmir Public Service Commission, and I'll write them a letter. And
It gives me